Some people said they like the fireworks and the dynamite part. So for those people in the back, I want you to know I appreciate you. You feel me? Um, how you guys doing? My name is Hero. This is Coding with Strangers, and it's a day for democracy. Clap it. We won. We the people.
The people.
We won. We beat up. We used democracy to beat up capitalism. uh, I'm going to start off by saying I'm completely out of my depth. As much as a game aesthetic I might have given off, man, I haven't played video games in a long time, and it's to the detriment of me, and I think of the games industry. It's pretty telling when someone like me, who sprinted 1.7 miles home the day after school, the day before summer school started, because my dad promised me if I could bring home AB average, he would go out and get me Diddy Kong Racing for the N64. And when I tell you I sprinted home to acquire those goods, I mean Olympic times. You feel me? Olympic times. But that kid who once sprinted home to play video games is now the same person who literally returns video games before all the DLC, before the first round of DLC is out. One of the tragic stories of the downfall of me in video games came about when Spider-Man PS4, the first one, was coming out, and I beat the game, and the guy came back as I was returning the game. He's like, the DLC for this is going to drop next week. I said, I beat the game in 1 week. They should have put the DLC in the game if it was ready. And while I'm not going to tell no business how to run their business, when I heard, I don't know if you guys even watched this back in the day, man, I might be dating myself here. There was a show called Inside Gaming. It had like Bruce Green and Lauren Sontag in it. And they literally said something that stuck with me forever. And they said, you got to vote with your wallet. And so I did. So my vote was to just stop spending money. And that's when I also started to notice, like, the depth at which I found myself connected to games probably didn't match the depth that these AAA companies were putting into them. I wasn't a PC gamer. I was a very casual gamer in the sense of I played all the mainstream titles that they advertised to me. So when those started to lose their depth to me, my interest in video games went away. And it could be because I have other passions and other things I focus on now, but it does bother me that was something that shaped me as a child, but doesn't even scan on my radar now. Even if I have free time, I have every game console you could probably think of, and it doesn't register for me to pick up the video game. So it's no surprise that a lot of people in the near future probably won't be picking up the Helldivers 2 controller, even after this atrocious situation. And this situation has moved fast. This was updated yesterday. But the TLDR is Helldivers 2, along with Power World and a few other games, are games that were basically taking the internet and the gaming sphere by storm. Helldivers has quite the following. It's a mechanic that is quite fun. It gives a certain level of fun and joy for people who want to co-op and play. And basically, there's this place called Super Earth. Sometimes there's bugs, sometimes there's robots, whatever. You and a squad will go in and try and liberate that section. And it's a cross-platform situation. So the work you're doing is helping someone else somewhere, someone else playing somewhere else. So it's all in good fun. It's big on the community. You feel me? It's big on the people.
The people.
It's big on the people. So the question is, why would you, why would you, as a publisher, Sony, and the developer Arrowhead, take such great will and publicity and all of these great things and do and shoot yourself in the foot?
Why are you here?
So in the initial parts of this, buried in the beginning, when this game came out, buried in somewhere in the beginning, they talked about how this game would eventually, at some point, probably be PSN required. But since that wasn't made apparent in the first 6 months, it's now been caught as people who bought this game have been caught off surprise, or caught with basically is the equivalent to go fuck, go fuck yourself, basically. And the reason why they feel like this is because Sony basically has made it that you need a PlayStation Network in order to play this game now. Before, you could play it anywhere, anytime, and do all that good stuff. You can't do that anymore. And the question is, why? The answer is greed. Because some executive needs to show a PlayStation conversion increase, and the biggest game in the world right now is not being used or utilized to make that check and balance work in his favor. So he made the instruction, they pushed it down, because in a sense this does nothing to better the program, to better the game. Sony's going to use a very cliche response. Oh, we're doing this for safety. Is this the same Sony that sent me $500 a few years back because they leaked all my information to some hackers? This can't be the same Sony saying this for safety when they've had 7 other major leaks since then. This is the same Sony that they can't get cheaters off of their own servers. They know who's hacking their servers, and they can't do nothing about it. That's the same Sony that's designed to protect us. It's madness. It's greed, and they're paying for it. And luckily for the community, luckily for the people involved, they have this. You created a group of people and put a group of people into a situation where they would have the ability to defend and talk about their issues, and then you're surprised that same community turned around and started yelling at you when everyone found out that you were the issue, right? And it goes without saying that I 100% side with the players, but you don't need to read this article to know that Sony shit the bucket here. I think I missed that beat by a mile. What you do need to know, though, is this isn't the first time, and this is not the last time. And sort of with the sense and the movement of today's day and age in technology, where things are undercooked and overpushed, it makes me think about the reasons why I stopped playing games. And we talked about the first one, where it's just a DLC. Just give me a full game. You know what a great play, and I get it. People will pay the extra $5 here and there, and they'll continue to do it because it works. It absolutely works. Another thing that I wrote down that was just kind of crazy to me is just the amount of bugs that games that start off with. The amount of bugs that were in the first Watch Dogs and a lot of the Assassin's Creed. There's literally the reason why I couldn't get into Assassin's Creed. Watch Dogs wasn't so bad. I think the downgrade was a thing, but we'll talk about that. The bugs for Assassin's Creed is the reason why I couldn't get into it, to the point that it was so buggy I came up with the name Ass Creed, because there's no way something could be this bad and they're okay with it. But their objective is to get you to buy it up front, patch it up later. And that I feel like that just doesn't work. That's not fair. That's not a true assessment. I didn't pay you a down payment. I paid you up front, I didn't hit you with the IOU. So that's really trash bag behavior. And no one's going to appreciate it. No one's going to like it. No one's going to understand it. And I hear people who are also saying yo, they shouldn't be talking bad about what they did with the Helldivers. Don't blame the devs. This was all on Sony. No. The devs gonna take this L too, and I think the CEO of Arrowhead said he's to blame as well, and rightfully so. They're not a small indie company. This is Helldiver 2 for the sake of it. So they've made a game before. They understand the process of it. They understand who has the ability to play it and whatnot, especially when you gave everyone access to the game in the beginning, and then you took away some 100 odd countries from playing it. So you basically stole their money. And that kind of leads me into the third thing. These developers know what they're doing. If you played Watch Dogs 1 and 2 is pretty phenomenal. 3, Legion was kind of but Watch Dogs 1, when they dropped that E3 trailer, I literally said the future is now. I said that out loud. The future is now. And then I played Watch Dogs 3, and it was Watch Dogs 1, and the graphical capabilities were not the overhyping of their business model in order to garner excitement. To imagine you have to lie to get people to be excited about something that you know you can't do. What is the expectation here? What is the thing? And you could talk about the microtransactions, the play to wins. These are all things that make it so much more annoying to invest yourself. But just not getting what you pay for, it has to be a deal breaker. And as a person who sits here now and I make things now from web dev, I've made a few games. I have a few games that I've made, and I think about what I want and how I define fun and how I can't look back fondly on my past gaming experience because of all the loopholes I had to jump through early on. I think literally when the gaming industry went into the 3D era, it took a sharp decline in probably like quality, for sure. Maybe after the PS1 era, quality was just atrocious. From game design and everything's kind of like copy water. If you have a brawler type game, guess what? You're gonna be using the Arkham combat. Want a shooter style game? Hey, Call of Duty, maybe Far Cry. Need a racing game? Guess what? You're gonna pick GTA 6. GTA, or you're gonna for City. And if you need like a racing, there's a bunch of like of those racing games right now out there. It's like that. There's just no diversity in that. And I was talking to a good friend of mine, and I was asking him like, I would love to just one day get a Steam account, pay like $100 into it, and just every Friday pick a random game to just play from Steam. Just at random. It could be trash, it could be good. I just want to experience it. And as we were talking about this, it became very clear that this probably would only work or last for me for all of probably a week, or maybe a month, because at the end of the day, games were supposed to be fun. And now that there's too much business, greed, and really poor quality in it, it makes it hard to approach. So I don't need an article to tell me that Sony and Arrowhead messed up goodwill and vibrations from their loyal audience, because that's what they've been doing for the last 10 years. They just haven't made games fun anymore, and that in itself is pretty sad, because I always envisioned myself being the person who would introduce my kids or people to games, and now I have to live vicariously through people who have a passion for making games and hope that that's enough to motivate me. But maybe I have a way of solving this problem. If I'm willing to ignore the graphical capabilities of these older systems, I think it might be time for me to go ahead and take a trip to the past, back to the past, like Samurai Jack, and go experience a lot of the games that I never got to play as a child or never got to finish as a child because I grew up in sort of like the 3D era. And I'm very interested to see what some of those games look like. I never beat a Mario game, except for like Mario 64 and maybe Mario Smash Brothers, if those counts, for N64. But I never got to beat like any of the Nintendo Super Nintendos or the Famicom, none of those things. Go beat a Frogger or something. Go see what the world has out there. I don't know, but that's just my take on it. This. Everyone knows that the Helldiver people and all of them are wrong, so this isn't really up for debate. But I'm curious to know how is your gaming experience going? I mean, are you a new gamer? Are you an old gamer? Do you feel like games are keeping up with your expectation? What aren't you a fan of? What are you okay with? And what are some hard truths that you've had to come to terms with in order to keep playing the games that you think bring you pleasure? I'm fascinated to know. Let me know. Comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe. We love it. We like it.